Hello, I'm Britt. This is my channel, Brittwriterly. It's a book and author tube where I talk about the intersections of literature and culture. And you're watching Writerly Conversations. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Shay T. Warren, otherwise known as Shay with the Hobby. Shay, come on down and introduce yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm Shay. We're in the second half of season 2 or season 3 of Riley Conversations now.
Yeah, officially over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Vina showed up precisely on time. What a happy accident. Serendipity.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't have a physical copy of Family Lore, but pretend I'm waving it right here.
I have a physical copy. It's not here yet. That's the only reason I haven't read it. Is because I was like, I'm not buying a second copy.
It's on Scribd.
I don't have Scribd anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. It was like a product of that past relationship, and that past relationship been over for a while. So
it has. I'm glad things have been dissolved neatly.
Right. Yeah.
That's for the best. No matter the losses.
In a while. And unfortunately, it's not an annual thing. It has to be paid monthly, so I can't pay it all the way. So
just lump sum it. Yeah.
Do I want to add a monthly thing to my bill list? And the truth is, I really don't. So.
Yeah, I'm like, I love Scribd, but
at every library I have access to audiobook wise, but I haven't gotten it yet. So.
Mm-hmm. I think you'll love it. I mean, but you love all of her books, so I'm not like, I wonder if Cassie will like this.
That's why I pre-ordered it. I wasn't expecting to not.
Yeah.
And even if I did, I was going to buy it anyway. She was going to get my coin. So,
yeah.
I just liked it. Somebody was going to get the book. I already spent my money on it, so there was that.
Yeah. Okay, Pat is here. Hey, Pat.
Pat, how you been? We did not see you.
We missed
Friday.
you. Exactly.
We was concerned.
It was like our general manager called in today, so
nobody was, there to remind us.
No one was on the floor. You feel me?
Do it ourselves.
No one was on the floor in the chat. No one was circling around greeting the guests. You feel me? Like we were just like, hydrate thumbs up.
Because it was like, we haven't been here without Pat in so long, and kind of forgot what it was like, and I didn't like
it. It wasn't fun for us.
I didn't like
what we're saying is we missed you.
Yeah, we missed you. Are you okay? Is everything good? You good?
How's the back?
Right. Make sure you're good, because you totally could have been going through something, and our complaints mean nothing at that point.
Nothing. Are you hydrating?
Yes.
Are you eating?
Are you sleeping? Because that's the other part. We do be like you hear all the time, like you don't sleep. So maybe you were hibernating, as you should.
As you should.
Rest.
As you should. I'm just thinking about that white bear who was like coming out of the cave with their hair all over the place that's circling around right now. And picturing that like rolling out of bed like you deserve that kind of sleep. Hospital appointment.
I got
double down on that. Are you okay?
Right. I got 2 tomorrow, so totally understand.
Okay, so today we are gathered here today to have our annual Writerly Conversation, book live chat, thingamabob, official title right there. We usually choose 2 books that come out in August, and this year we chose Elizabeth Acevedo's, I almost transposed those titles, Elizabeth Acevedo's Family Lore and Brittney S. Lewis's The Dark Place. Her covers are 2 for 2.
I love them. So her books are 2 for 2. She's 2 for 2. She did not have sophomore syndrome. Sophomore book.
Yeah, the sophomore stumble.
This is a good book. I like this.
Sophomore stumble.
And honestly, although I did not like the main character as much as I like the main character in the first one, I like the second book more than I like the first book.
Okay. Okay. Interesting, because I remember you being like, not disliking the main character in 2-2, but just being like, you're whining. And the way you're talking to this aunt is crazy. So you like Not me forgetting her name. What's this baby's name?
You know what? I could not think of her name when I was talking to Maya about her yesterday. I could
You
not think
couldn't?
of these names.
Zari and Bo.
I could not
My
think of
babies.
Zari's name at all yesterday. I like Zari more than I like Hailey because Hailey just be doing some stuff that girl, what are you doing? Girl?
Yeah. No, Hailey got that.
And,
I gotta see for myself energy for sure.
Yeah, Hailey is
okay.
like, girl. She get it together by the end, but girl, Hailey was doing a lot.
You know, the names that Brittney chooses for her character are so unique.
I love
like it's
them.
you know,
I knew a few Marshays and Hailey Marshay Williams. I was like, I love.
Yeah, we don't get
it.
basic names from Brittney. I love it. I'm like, okay.
I love these black girl names. Especially coming from Brittney, like not like, but you know what I mean. Like,
what you trying to say?
Brittney's a very common name. Don't act like it's not. Brittney's a very common name. It's so common, y'all had to switch up the way y'all spelled it to be different.
Okay, all right, settle down.
I'm just saying, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I love it. I love it.
Good. Hey, Maya. Hi.
I was talking to Maya about this yesterday. We were gushing about it.
Good. Yeah, it is a high compliment to like book 2 even more. And I think it bodes really well for a writer's trajectory. You feel me, Vina? We ain't been on here for 7 good minutes and already it has started.
I wasn't coming for you. I was coming. Technically, you are not the person who named you. So it's technically not even you that chose a very common name.
So you're coming from my parents. My mother compliments you every time she sees your face.
Your parents were doing what they thought was best. That's all. I'm just saying. At one point in time, my parents did that for all their siblings but me. I'm the only person with an abnormal name. My siblings are literally DeAndre, Derek, Devin, Andrea, Anthony. Where Cachet came from, we'll never freaking know. So again, I'm just saying, I didn't say anything was wrong with it. I didn't say anything was wrong. No, I just corrected you, is what I was saying. All I said was I didn't technically come for Brittney. Technically, I wasn't even talking about this Brittney. Technically, I was talking about the author. All I'm saying is that author has 1 T in her Brit. Is all I'm saying. I did not come for the Brit that's sitting right here. However, I'm supposed to point. Is the technically. Venus instigating is what happened.
Not Vina stoking fires in the chat.
Because I wasn't even talking about her. Her. Because she already know that her names are unique. So technically, she know I'm not making stuff up. Brittney's be out here naming their characters very unlike themselves.
I don't feel like my characters' names are too... razzle-dazzly.
They're not common.
Which
when have you ever met a black girl named Eliza?
Fine.
Okay, come on. Do I need to keep going? Like
you could. I feel like you don't have anything but Eliza though. Like choose another project and you're done.
When was the last time you met a young black man named Lazarus?
No. I said choose another project.
We said black characters. All I'm saying is the characters in your book.
I said choose another project other than Eliza Black. I'll admit it. I went in on them characters and I'm proud of that fact. Okay, I stand in it. But choose another project. Choose another whip. And those characters' names are pretty.
Okay. What's old boy's name in the thing?
Not gonna help you. I can't.
Ha. What is Ha's real name? Because it ain't a regular name. What's his name? Oh,
let's just move on. Never mind.
No, let me go look it up real quick. Hold on. It's in my iPad. Let's go to files real quick. Because somebody want me to prove a point. Apparently.
No, we're wasting time. We're already 10 minutes in. We're already 10 minutes in. We have things to talk about.
Okay, yeah. So am I wrong or am I right?
Lazarus is a strong biblical name. Thank you,
It
Zena. Holding it down
is. It
POP.
definitely is. Okay,
Here's what I'll...
Let's go to her sister. How many black people you done met named Celine?
That's a pretty common name in Haitian culture.
But is it an African American?
She's Haitian.
Okay, but as a person, characters, you are still naming black people in your book. It's still not common for us to meet black
Those
people.
two sisters are Haitian American.
Right, and you got Cassandra, a name that is common, and Celine is one that isn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, we've heard Cassandra a lot, we've never heard Celine a lot. So you were strategic, is all I'm saying. So I'm saying you could have given her a name that was, and you didn't.
That was common?
Yes.
No, so here's a fun fact. The two sisters that I based that series off of, like, I was running names through with them, and I just threw those names out, and they were like, oh, funnily, like, Cassie is a common, like, nickname in Haitian culture, and Celine is also like a common, like, not common, like everyone in the mama name is Celine, but like it is kind of a common name. Both of them are. So I'm not saying it's the epitome. It's like the Haitian. Well, Cassandra might be the Haitian version of Brittney. I don't know. But culturally, they're not that unique.
Right.
Just saying.
They are for African Americans. I don't know about Haitians.
But they're not African American, so I don't see how that matters.
Carmel, there we go. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the readers.
Looking for it the whole time.
I'm talking about the readers. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about the writers. The readers and the writers. I'm not talking about the characters.
The characters.
Yeah.
Nacho was looking up Harmel's name this whole time.
Yeah, no, because I'm proving my point. Harmel. Okay.
Listen. In the grand scheme of things, let's say, hypothetically, that I have named 20 characters, lowball estimation, 20 characters over the span of my 5 or 7 projects, however many. Of those 20, I would say 15% of those names are actually like super unique. You've never heard. Otherwise, I'll give you 25 even, but I think 75% of those names are pretty, not degular, but like,
I said they're not common. I didn't say that you hadn't never heard them before. I just said they're not common.
Okay, no contest, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Because that was the goal. I didn't want a name that was made up, but I also didn't want a name that I hear every day. So, I'm not going to argue the point because that was my intent.
I know.
We'll never get those 8 minutes of our lives back. We won't ever. Yeah. Anyway, both books sounds interesting by the titles alone. Are you talking about Tutu in the Dark Place?
I think Family Lore in the Dark Place, probably.
Okay. Listen, that would be their business.
I know a dude I dated, that was his middle name, but they pronounced it Lazarus.
That's a choice. I haven't read neither, so I probably will dip out.
I don't think the questions are spoilery.
No, it's really like the question.
None of us have read the opposite book either, completely.
Yeah, I'm in the first 15% of the Dark Place because I
just started Family Lore via the.
Yeah, so this is really book club, hey, what have you been reading? I've been reading this, here's how I feel about it, and then I've been reading this, here's how I feel about it. It's that kind of chit chat. So it's very what you laughing at, pet? It's very chill. It's not gonna be any spoilers. Hey, cool gamer, it's been so long, welcome back. Yeah, it's super casual. There aren't gonna be any spoilers. The questions are designed to just have us talk about reactions. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank y'all for coming. We're so glad you're here. We're not gonna hold you long. We're gonna try to be done by like 7:30 or so. Um, so Shay read the Dark Place by Brittney Lewis. We're gonna go through the favorite things, the things we wanted to know more about, or that we would change if we could, things that surprised us, and then our thoughts about the ending. So what was your favorite thing about the Dark Place? And if you've read either of these, feel free to throw your responses in the chat too.
My favorite thing overall about the Dark Place. My favorite thing would have to be the speculative element.
Okay.
So the ability that she had, that was my favorite thing. That's what kept me intrigued about it. And you kind of know it from jump, so it's not a spoiler by any stretch
Yeah.
of the So the ability that she has to be able to go to this other place, and you're not exactly sure what it is, where it is, and whatnot, but the ability she has to go to this other place in time, I think is really cool. And then the more you find out about it throughout the story, was really, really intriguing to me. And I liked the mystery and the intrigue and the like little bit of the spec and the science, sci-fi behind it, and the like, is this going to be sci-fi? Is it going to be magic? How are we gonna get there by the end of the story? So that honestly was like my favorite thread throughout the story.
Even where I am now, so far, like that's what's keeping me in at first. Because at first, the beginning of the Dark Place is very disorienting, or was for me very disorienting. Where I was just like, so like I won't even go there. I won't even go there. It was very disorienting, and I was just like, now what in the specific is going on here? And what's exciting is, I mean, what's exciting is it has the feel of like heavy, not metaphor, but like for me where I am now and as I was coming into it, it felt like, I mean, I had no idea what was going on, but it felt important to find out. Not just like, oh, this is a curiosity and I want to know, but it felt like it was important. It was going to be important to, all I can think of is Elizabeth Acevedo's characters' names. What's her name? Hailey. It felt important to Hailey's character and her past to find out what was going on, like where she was going, and the way that her disappearing is even described, like the fact that it happened at a family cookout and everyone's reaction, and the fact that like this is not spec fic that happens where like something is happening to me and no one knows, like everyone saw and they were like, I don't know what to do with what I just saw. And just like the metaphor about someone disappearing in plain sight, and then how does that work? What is figuratively, what does that mean? And so it just, that part really struck me for where I am now. I'm past that part, but like that was one of the things that really struck me, was that this isn't a spec fic that is everyone knowing exactly what's going on, like everyone knows the rules, and it's not a spec fic where like only the protagonist is privy to the different things that's going on. People know in general and they don't know how to react to it, and that's part of like the weight of what's happening, is their inability to articulate how they feel about it, or even to like continue to be around her for some people. So yeah, that really intrigued me. Okay. I haven't read one of her books yet. I was close, but the book was like 14 hours and I don't have it.
I don't even know who that is. Yeah.
She wrote this book about a house on a cliff or something, and that might be the title of the book, but I can't remember. And also like The Ghost of This House, Here There Be Ghosts. I don't know. She wrote a super popular book. I mean, she's a decorated author, so she's written multiple, but there's a book that was like trending at one point that I kept hearing about, and I tried to like look into it, but I think it was because I was looking at her agent and seeing if that would be a fit, but I was like, I can't read this book. Um, but anyway, so yeah, that also struck me about. Well, that's what struck me about The Dark Place thus far. What struck me about Mercy, why
Family
can't I
Lord.
remember these titles? Thank you. And they're right above me. We talked Family Lore in The Dark Place. What's wrong with me? What struck me about that, and full disclosure, I literally just finished reading Family Lore 21 minutes ago. Like it literally was like, this is about to go like I'm at 6:29. So I haven't had too much time to like process what I just listened to. But I guess I would say like my favorite thing about it, or my favorite thing about it was like I love the poetry and I love the way that she like mixes in poetry with the mundane. Like in some way, like she'll go from poetry to like common colloquialisms that are in no way poetic, but just fit with the poetry because like these things that are mundane are beautiful in their own way. And so the way she like mixes linguistically beautiful things with just like culturally beautiful things is a really cool fusion of beauty in a way to like elevate the ordinary to the extraordinary beyond the fact that there's actual extraordinary stuff going on. So yeah, that's my favorite thing about Family Lore. Very simple, but what can I say? um what is the thing that you want to know more about for The Dark Place?
So it would be the ability. So when you do get to 75% through, 75-80% through, and you find out not where it comes from, but like I guess the closest that you're gonna get in the story to where it comes from. It's like we can't know more. It's like this is it. This is
Mm.
it. Um,
Did it
uh,
feel like you should know more, even though it's a soft magic system, or like speculative? Or did it feel like this is just what it is to be soft and I wish it was a bit harder?
no. It doesn't. It just feels like it feels weird that y'all don't want to know more.
Mm,
That's what it is. Like it's just like so nowhere in here are y'all looking for more. Like at the point that it's
like her family,
confirmed
they
that
still
this
don't want to
is
know.
more, are y'all doing more? Like
Like her parents, you mean?
yes, yes, like
Yeah.
her family in general. Like once it's a confirmed thing, why?
Yeah.
Because this makes no sense, like whatsoever. Um,
Mhm.
so
Hey,
that
Maya, hey, Felicia.
but I did like but it doesn't feel like oh this is too soft like in the story. Like it makes sense, like okay, like I understand why you don't know. It doesn't make sense why you continue to not know.
Mm, yeah, that threw me for a loop. I mean, you're talking about the end of the book, right? Like near the end, and they still don't want to know.
No, well, so no. So when you get to the end of the book, you find out stuff, right? And then it goes
Hmm.
back to like at the start of the book, you're like, this doesn't even make sense why y'all are acting this way from the start of the book. Because it's like at
Okay.
this point,
Okay.
you guys know. She doesn't know, but y'all know at this point. So at
Oh,
the point
they
that
know?
y'all know at this point, and technically y'all have low key known
Baby spoiler.
that's why I said when you get to like 70 or 80%, like you get
More
the most
context.
of an explanation as you're gonna get for the story. But then mentally, if you're going back and you're looking at the full story, you got to be like, I mean, y'all a little slow. Specifically, one specific family member is very slow.
Very slow. It was honestly bananas to me that even at the cookout, like I do think it's cool that we get a spec fic where people are seeing it, But I'm also just like, why they're cool. It didn't make sense to me, like their reaction. Like I understand the fear, although if they already know what's going on, then like, no, I don't. But like I understand you being like, what the heck just happened? My child just disappeared. But I don't understand your reaction being to send her smooth away from you.
It does
Maybe.
make sense if you finish the book. All of that
So
makes
that's what
sense
I'm
if
saying.
you
Like
finish the
maybe it
book.
will be explained
All
in
of
the
that makes
moment.
sense. That's what I'm saying. That part makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the specific family member. There's one person
Okay.
that's like, all this don't make sense because, yeah. So without
Okay.
spoiling,
Okay.
that's why.
Okay. All right. So I'll look forward to understanding that because when they sent her away, I was like, and this is early stuff in the book because I'm not past chapter 8. So if I'm saying it, it's not much of a spoiler. When I saw that, I was like, I mean, we know that I have the ability to do that, right? Like, so it's working in y'all's favor that I don't know any more than that. I'm saying pretty much everything I know. Shay is the one who is exhibiting restraint. That was just like, wow, that's a choice. You've already lost one child, and then you're just gonna send the other one away because of this, admittedly strange thing, but like
Yeah,
she's the last one you have. So if that's gonna make sense, I'll just keep reading. But yeah, Brittney definitely starts her books off with a bang. The first one started off, my mom died in 5 days, and I watched it all. And the second one starts off with this really terrible memory, and then this really shocking and confusing thing in the family gathering that's just really crazy. So she's definitely not one to dilly dally.
yeah, no, definitely. Like, yeah.
I what was the question you were answering? Something that you would change, or what? Something you want to know more about or would change? Um, something that I want to know more about or would change.
Oh, so I thought it was just would know more about. If it was to change, I would change
Either
it.
or.
I would change the ending completely.
Okay. Can you say how without spoiling?
So the ending is like it's like a last chapter, but it reads like an epilogue. I changed that.
Okay. Like put more substance in it.
I'd make it an epilogue.
So would the chapter before the last chapter serve as an ending,
Yes.
or would you have to add more to it?
No, it serves as an ending. I wouldn't have
Okay.
made like because it reads like an epilogue, but like when it reads as a chapter, it makes you feel like something different is about to happen with the
Okay.
story. And so like nah, like you go into so after this, my life went like this, and this is what happened with the
Okay.
and it's just
Yeah.
like that should have been a epilogue. It doesn't like
Yeah.
it goes into the future and everything, so it just felt really weird.
Mm, yeah.
So I
I'm
wouldn't
trying
have.
to think. Do fantasy novels have epilogues, or is that more of like a romance thing?
Yeah, fantasies have epilogues.
Okay. It's really been so long since I've been writing fantasies, y'all. I mean, since I've been reading and writing, I guess. Since I've been like the fan, I'll have to return, but I think I just like to read whatever genre I'm writing, and I've been writing romance for over a year now, so I've lost the feeling um, of the structure of fantasy novels. What would and this could be something that's just like a virtue of the form or the medium, but as Vina said during the Friday sprint, it's a lot going on in family lore. Now, I didn't necessarily mind it. It didn't bug me. Um, it didn't bug me. I'll be interested to hear your thoughts, Shay. Um, it didn't bug me, and even when I got like lost in the time period, or I was 5 minutes in, or not five, I was a couple minutes into a chapter and realized like, oh, Pastora is now a child again. We've moved back. That didn't bother me. That didn't bother me, and I don't know that I would even change it. I would be interested to see if I had the same experience reading it visually rather than hearing it. Yeah, especially because I was multitasking, so like I really can't honestly blame the book when I wasn't fully present. Like maybe I would have known that had I been listening more
More
closely.
actively.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I don't know if that's by virtue of the medium or my distraction or whatever. But either way, it didn't bother me even when I was like, we're bouncing back and forth. Um,
Yeah, because I will say I
and
was not distracted reading physically. Like I could not be distracted. Just had like my full
yeah,
attention the whole read, which I will say made it a very different read than before because I read the other one both ways, the audiobook and
Tutu.
the ebook. Yeah.
Did you have a harder time keeping up with Tutu but from listening?
No, just remember I had the audiobook at the time, and so
Hmm.
I had both, so I was doing both.
Yeah, I remember you said that. And I wouldn't be like this. I don't know that I would just fully read that book phys- phys- physically, but had I been able to hybrid, I probably would have been like, I wonder if I understand these things better. Let me read that chapter again right here, right now. I would have, yeah, but I wouldn't go back and read the entire thing that way. And honestly, it wasn't until like the other side of the middle, maybe so it's a big family. So what I would have liked is exactly like I'm just like, yeah, I don't think reading it physically would serve me because it's not super exciting. There is magic in it. But it's a very familial everyday. Like it's not magic to like open portals. It's like Floor, the second oldest sister, dreams and she like sees people's deaths, like when they're gonna die, how, whatever. But it's not always like she doesn't always know a month in advance. Sometimes she just sort of has a premonition when the phone rings that that's gonna happen. Sometimes she does dream about it a month in advance and can warn. Like it's very um domestic, but I don't mean domestic in a bad way. Like it's just a very domestic magic. It's not like epic, like it's supposed to be used to do
Yeah,
some
no, I
great
didn't
big
see that
deed.
in a bad way. Yeah.
So from there, I was just like, okay, cool, like that's cool. Um, and then Pastora, the middle child, can like tell when someone is lying. She can sense their motives just by hearing them say one thing, and sometimes even just by looking at them can sense their motives. Um, and so that's what the magic system, I was just like, okay, cool. Like I didn't spend too much time thinking about it as a full system, more just of like how it impacted the behavior of the sister that had it. But that's just like an aside to answer Venus' question. I was just like, okay, cool. That's just like a texture of the story, that there's this other thing that's motivating their particular thoughts or intuitions or whatever. But what I would not change, but for my reading, it would have been helpful to have like a family chart. So you have to tell me if when you get the book, if there is a genealogy chart in the book, because that would have been helpful to know like from the beginning who all the sisters are, who the cousins are, who their kid, like that would have been helpful. But it didn't
Teach
really.
you
Yeah,
understand that watching. Yeah.
yeah. And when you find out what Floor, like, so she, and this is not a spoiler, like the premise of the book is Floor, the sister who sees death, has called all her sisters and said, I'm gonna have a living wake. And they're like, what? Why? Okay, so it just was the family in the beginning. See, yeah, so I'm just like, okay, that'd have been helpful to like have before me as I was going through, but it's not something that I'm just like holding against the book. I'm just saying for my own reading experience, it would have been helpful to have that. So Floor and they're older now. So like the oldest of these sisters is in her 70s, I think. And Floor is the second oldest. So I think she's also in her like late 60s, 70s, whatever. She calls her sisters and says, I want to have a living wake in 5 weeks. And so the book is everyone getting ready for that wake. And it's through the POV of Floor's daughter, Ona, who is an anthropology professor. And once, I don't know when that was first said, but once I realized it, whenever I realized it, the way the book is constructed made more sense because you realize later, and hey, Bree, you realize when you learn more about Ona and her you realize that the book is basically being structured as like family interviews that she's doing about the custom of a living wake. That's not told at the very beginning, but when you realize that because you hear like the moment that she decided to do it, and then it goes to an interview in the next chapter. You're like, oh, okay, that's why it's just like suddenly going back and hearing a story about the sisters and their customs and what it means for them to be in DR, you know? So that at that point it's like cool. And it just made all of the like bouncing back more sensible because it's part of the premise of the book, even if you're not told that until later on. You have to like listen for it. But I like stories where you have to figure out why the structure is what it is, and it turns out that the structure is impacted by the story that you're listening to. Like I think that's just really cool and intricate storytelling. So that's me. Um yeah, it took a little bit. Now, I will say I did not like um the narrator that was always reading for the interview chapters. I was like, what is, and I don't remember what it was about her voice. It just wasn't, it seemed like it was just harder for, it was like she didn't know what she was reading. I don't know. It just, I don't know. I don't know. Something about it. I just wasn't, I was like, Elizabeth, just read the whole thing. We know you can do it. We know you got it. Why do you have to have these two other people doing it at all? And she said it was three people, but I only remember two myself. But one of them, I was super not like, her chapters weren't long, so it didn't matter. But it just, the flow between character dialogue wasn't as good as when Elizabeth was reading. So that's my, I would change the narrator. I would just have it be like, Elizabeth, just do the entire thing. We know you. We trust you. We love your performance. Just get all your coins. Just get all your coins. So yeah. What surprised you? Oh, let me see what the chat is doing. I think I'm pretty much caught up. Oh. So you get her POV. Some chapters are from an I POV. Yeah, I think the I is Ona. That's what I was figuring out. I was like, why are some of them in third person and some is I? And I was trying to figure out who the I is, and it's Ona. And then it's the other sister's cousin. People was she was supposed to do Ona themselves. How I read it is the I is always Ona. And then I think she's the narrator. Like she's the narrator for the third person. And then when it's just her, it's I. But I would have to reread it and probably just like look at it to see if that actually tracks or if it's just Ona being that first person in her own paragraph, her own paragraphs, her own chapters, and every other chapter just another separate third person narrator. Don't know. But anyway, so yeah, those are my thoughts on things I would change or want to. I don't know that there's anything I would want to know more about. I think it was all explained pretty well. And the things that were not explained, it was just like, yeah, we don't know. Like there are things about it that is super. There are things about it that are like clear that we've like figured out through practice, and then there are other things that we don't know that like we just can't. It's not a hard magic system. And I was fine with those things because we had a functional understanding of it, and that was good enough for me. So did anything in the dark place surprise you?
Oh yeah. I was surprised how much the romance I liked it. And then there was a nice little twist that I liked. When I got to it, I was like, okay. It was the second little shout out I did to Brittney, and I was like, okay, girl, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Is it a spoiler? Can we know?
No, yeah, it's a spoiler. I can't tell you. I can't tell you, but it was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Okay. That's the that surprised you? The romance?
It surprised me how much I liked it. I liked it.
Oh, okay.
I like she's 2 for 2 for her romantic subplots. I like them both.
Zari and Bo, man.
Both of, like, and I like. I want to say his name is Elam. That's how I'm pronouncing it.
Elam.
Elam. That's how I'm pronouncing it.
More than Bo.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, I really liked Elam. Like, I really liked Elam.
Wow, you like fully just like the dark place better than Tutu. On pretty much every scale, or just coincidentally?
No, not every scale. Because remember, I said I like Zari more than I like Tylee. I like Zari more than I like Tylee. And I will say that I like Zari's family more than I liked Heidi's family.
I mean,
Um,
I can see that. I don't like them as it is. Her
yeah,
grandmother.
yeah, no, like Heidi's grandma, beefing with her all day long, beefing with her all day long, beefing
Thanks
with
for
her
the
all day long,
sandwiches, but can you be here for me emotionally?
beefing with her all day long, especially by the end of the book, beefing with her all day long.
Mm-mm.
Um, her parents, not so much, because I totally understand. Um,
Okay.
especially because they're operating with not nearly as much information as the grandma. But
Oh,
like
wow.
I'm
Interesting.
beefing with the grandma the whole time, beefing with the grandma for real. But the uh I liked, like I said, I like the romance, but Zari and Zari's family, I appreciated. I also will say another thing that Brittney does that I think is she does very freaking well, and I don't know if this is because these are things that she is interested in or does in her real life so well, but the way that she did with swing dancing and the way that she does with the drawing in this, the way in which she incorporates interest into the main characters' lives so
Mm,
well
yeah.
and uses them so well throughout the story to give the character a well-rounded like place to come from, give them something to lean into, some
Yeah.
passion, something to care about, a,
Hmm.
a safe place, some solace outside of humans, because what we find in a lot of YA is, they don't, what we've talked about plenty of times with, the save the cat model is that, with YA, it's like they don't rely on anybody. We're like, they don't have no friends, or we're getting them away from their friends, we're getting them away from their
Hmm.
parents, every
Yep.
sense. And so, even in that happening as well in contemporaries, at least in hers, they find something to lean into. And in hers, it's whatever their passion is, and they throw themselves into it. And so, in her stories, it's still a place of peace or solace for them in some way. And I love that. Like, I love that way in which even the thing in which is their hobby or whatever becomes a character in the story itself. And I like that. I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also the case that, like, especially in spec fic, the thing, like the premise of the plot becomes the preoccupation of the protagonist to the point where they don't have time to do anything but eat, sleep, think, try to figure out the magic or the villain or the adventure that they're on, where like that's everything to them. And then there's a romance thrown in there, maybe a love triangle. Like that is their interest. So having them seeing them have hobbies beyond what's going on does give them and the reader just some distance to like have the more spec fix stuff like play in the background of your head, like, all right, what is this? Like, it's not boom 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 the entire time. That's how I feel anyway. um I don't know that anything surprised me in family lore. I don't mean that in a bad way. It didn't surprise me. The ending, I wouldn't call it surprising because a couple of characters, they didn't know what was going to happen. They were wondering if perhaps the ending might go this way, but the ending of Family Lore came quickly. So I guess I'm segueing from 3 to 4 for Family Lore. It didn't surprise me, but well, actually, I will say the way that Floor, who was the one who's like, I'm gonna have a living wake, the way her daughter Ona gradually became more important in the story was surprising, isn't the word, but like it was a gradual increase that I wasn't clocking until it happened. Like in the beginning, it's a lot more about the sisters, like Floor's generation, her sisters and their childhood and da da da. But by the end, we have gotten more of their daughters and their daughters as cousins, their daughters as women in their own right with their own lovers and their own desires for children and the ease or the difficulty of that. um And yes, I was surprised by how primary Ona became. And I like her boyfriend. Um, yeah, I mean,
Chill, chill, chill.
I like her boyfriend, Jeremiah, an artist. Um, so yeah, I agree, Pat. The ending felt quick, but I was content with that. Because the ending of it was like sort of what Floor was preparing us for. Like, we're getting ready for the ending the entire time, and we just don't know when it's going to come. But neither do her sisters, neither do her nieces. Like, no one knows when the ending is coming that Floor is trying to prepare people for. And so the ending of the book was as sudden as it was for the family. And I like that because again, it dovetails nicely with the experience of the characters in the story that the reader is sort of put in a position to walk alongside this family, both in the knowledge that they have and in the ignorance that they're struggling through, because that's also happening. Like the sisters are alternately worried and pissed that that Floor won't tell them, like, what did you dream? Did you dream about yourself? Is it going to happen now? Like, are you sick? Is it going to be violent? Is it going to be like an accident? Like, why do you feel the need to have a wake now? You're not even the oldest of us. And so the reader is just sort of like carried along with them. And then when the ending comes and the way it comes, it is very sudden, but it's also not, because it's also sort of like what we've been preparing for the entire book, and we just didn't know when it was going to happen. But that's the point. So I liked it. It felt like not poetic justice, but it felt appropriate, and on theme for the book. So yeah, I liked it, and I liked how I liked how what's her name, Matilde. Hey, I would read another book about how Matilde got her groove back. I sure would. Because by the end of it, when she was salsa dancing at the wake, and that younger man was clocking her, and he was dancing with her, and she responded, "Hey, I would absolutely read how Matilda got her groove back for sure." And she is the oldest of them. She's the oldest sister, so she's like 70, I think. I would read that. I would read her book. Her cheating, no good husband. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. But anyway, what did you think about the ending of The Dark Place?
So there were a couple of things as we get to the last like 25% of the book that for me made the book go from the 5 stars that I was feeling it was go down to the 4 stars. And it felt like the conversations that we had about Save the Cat. And I wondered if the ending that we got was the original ending that Brittney wrote personally. Like, I was wondering if the things that happened were like, did you write this third act breakup scene or like fight scene, or was this encouraged to happen because it's always encouraged to happen because it has to happen? Like in Ray Bearer, when Terasai and My Love go get into it and have a conversation that doesn't even fit their personalities, but for some reason has to happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, why?
Well, you saying Tarisai's name just brought me back to like, what a name, Tarisai Kunleo.
Man, right? Just
It's
so
never
just
gonna
like,
not be a thing. Wow.
right. So that, and then feeling like the summation of the book, and like getting to the point where like, all right, you've been wanting this thing to happen, it happens like this, and it's rushed, and it goes like this, and it's like, okay, well, this is the way it's always meant to happen, and blah blah blah, and and it's like, oh, it's neat, and it's wrapped up into this really quick little bow, and it's like, the story is over, and this is how it all ends in the next few months, and this is my life now, and it's like, it just felt too rushed to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't feel incomplete. Like it didn't feel like this wasn't the right ending. It just felt like it
You
happened.
needed more to get to that
So
ending.
remember we talked about with Redemptor, how it was like, dang, we spent all this time building up going to the underworld, and then the underworld was like, girl, you was in there so fast. Golly. It was like in the blink of an eye, low key.
Yeah, it was a driving road tour.
Right. Like it was a lot. So it felt like that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, I was like, okay, all right, it's gonna take me 2 hours to finish this last little section. I was like, wait, I only got 10 pages left. Hold on. Wait a minute, hold on. No, I'm not wait. So much has got happened in this little wait.
She said, I'm not gonna hold y'all long.
It was literally, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. And I was
Hello?
like, no, I wasn't ready. I didn't like it. I wasn't. So it went from the 5 that it was like at a 5 and it wasn't budging, and then that happened, and I was like, well, there goes that 4. And I would definitely reread. So it's not necessarily not gonna get a reread. Specifically because there are some things, especially for me, you definitely have to finish it. You got to. I know it don't have a audio book, so I know it's gonna be a while, but you got to, especially for TEB. You got to. So you got to.
I mean, I am gonna finish it because I'm interested in what this magic system is representing.
Especially because it's almost exactly like you got to. So you got to.
Yeah, I mean, with them, like her older brother, and the way that she described that, I was like, oh, okay. So from then, I was like, I wonder if this is a similar thing. So yeah, my spidey senses were started to tingle when we went from, oh, he got in this terrible thing to, oh, actually we never him. And I was like, oh, interesting. Well, that's different. That's not the same thing. So cool. I will. And I wanted to be reading it. But I needed to finish Family Lore. So now that I'm done with that, I can, in all of my spare time, I can be swiping through it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Final thoughts.
I think it's a good book. I definitely recommend it. Content warnings. There is gun violence. There are home invasions. There is negative. What is it called? Like what's the word? I'm thinking of the wrong word. I want to say negative body imagery, but that's not the right term. It's like a mutilated
like body dysphoria imagery. Body dysphoria, right?
No. That would be like a person not liking
disfiguration.
Disfiguration, like mutilation. There we go. Like body mutilation, like description in there, just to be mindful of if those things bother you. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Yeah, there's no sex, mild cussing, if that's the thing that might bother you.
Bad parents.
And even in the sense that they're not even like, they're not bad parents like White Smoke. They're not bad parents like Bad Witch Burning. They're they're like bad parents like they're grieving.
Interesting.
Literally, like they're bad parents like they have a missing child. Like that's how they're bad parents. Like that's what's going on. So they're not like bad parents like they're like beating her
abusive or
anything like that. Like they're grieving, they have a missing child, they don't know what's going on type thing. I'm trying to think of what else. There specific grief, especially But also for like missing children, I will say, because there's a specific scene that for me made me cry like instantly. And I doubt that it won't like make you teary eyed or like at least emotional, because it's like told from the viewpoint of an 8-year-old child, like thinking that her brother is playing hide and seek and not that he's missing. So again, just be mindful of that as you're
Mm-hmm.
mental health wise. So yeah. Yeah.
That's the chapter that I'm on,
Yeah.
or that I just finished.
Yeah.
Goodness.
When I read it, I was like, that was the first shot. I was like, not even 10 chapters in. And she just, I was, tissue. Heart, just heart. Took my heart out my chest. Because I can't imagine what her parents was going through in that scene.
That was broke down. Mom was like, we gotta go. We gotta
She was
go.
like, can we get out this house right now?
Mm-mm.
Like, she was,
Mm-mm. Wrap it up.
like, they don't know how to, like,
Husband,
and
pick
how
up.
do
Let's
you,
go.
man.
Mm-mm. Yeah, Brittney's very good at like the beating heart writing. She's good at it.
Like,
Um,
I'm definitely gonna, slide into her DMs after this one. Like, man, so I read you're 2 for 2 in my book. You know, I'm not trying to be your friend, but low key, I want to be your friend at this point. Cause girl, I like your books. You're auto by now. You're
okay.
auto. I trust you at this point. I
Love
trust you.
that.
You're not letting me down. You up there with Lizelle, Elizabeth, and NK at this point. You're auto. You're auto
Wow.
at this point.
In the
Man,
Pantheon.
it's there's very few. It's very
It is. Yes, it is.
few. It's very few.
Okay. Um, Final thoughts on family lore. The title is very appropriate. It really is just here, not just, it really is giving you a very full picture of the family, of their relationships, of what aggravates them about each other, about what they love and need about each other. And that's family. Like, super aggravating. Also, don't leave me. So I, I I thought that it was a very, like, the book did exactly what it seemed to want to do, as far as getting through the family and these different gifts and how they function and how the family functions and how they protect each other. There's one scene where Pastora gets sent to live with one of their aunts in the DR, and Flora comes for her after a few days, and it was a rescue. And it just, that might be my favorite scene in the book. Just because it was just such a good depiction of sisterhood, where it's like, even when I'm not with you, my heart is always towards you. And if you need something, I will be with you shortly. And we're going to work it out and we're going to be all right. And just the way that Flora shows up for Pastora across time, and like sacrifices for her and holds her and helps her back from like trauma. So I guess I would say, like, content warning for abusive family members, and like brings her in attempted sexual assault. So content warning for those things. They're in 2 different scenarios, but just content when both those things show up. And I really just appreciated the way that Flora came up, and the fact that she didn't blink an eye at sacrificing what it cost her to show up. And Pastora never feels, we don't get that Pastora feels guilt for what Flora sacrificed, not in a selfish way, just that like Flora did it so casually that even though we know technically that this thing meant a lot to her, that she wanted it, she was a kid, she gave it up so casually and without any fuss that it didn't even register to Pastora that she should feel guilty about this thing. It was just, all she could see was like sisterhood and healing, and that was fully a function of how Flora showed up for her. And I loved it. I think that's one of the most beautiful scenes in the entire book. which was good because what Pastor was experiencing was not disjointed, but I was like, what's going on? Because there was a bit of magic involved and like possession or something. And I was like, what's happening? But the sisterhood was a very firm point in that story. So it was really cool. Yeah, I liked it. I think I might like other books of hers more if I ever read them, but I did like family lore. So yeah, those are my final thoughts. I don't do book ratings because they're super arbitrary, and I haven't really spent enough time thinking about what makes a book a 3, 4, 5, or whatever for me. So I just leave it at I like it, or I didn't. I would reread it, or I wouldn't. I did like this book. I probably wouldn't reread it, but that's just because this is not the genre of books that I typically read. But I could safely like suggest it to somebody who I thought would appreciate it. So yeah. That's it. Thank y'all so much for joining us. It's been lovely. Yeah, I don't think we have, I mean, the next Riley conversation also obviously will be like next month, and that'll be on Shay's channel. So look out for things about that. Blah, 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 blah. Shay, do you have anything you want to say?
Nope. Appreciate y'all being here, and if y'all watching the replay and y'all read the books, definitely let us know in the comments what y'all thought about them, what y'all favorite parts. If y'all have answers to the question, definitely let us know in the comments.
All right. We'll see you Friday, Lord willing, on Friday reading sprints. That's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here. Until then, y'all take care. Think about masking up if you're going to highly populated places because, well, it's still crazy out there. That's just that. All right. Bye.